Actually, we can do just a quick visual check. The only one the two that I see are have not returned yet is Alana and Kathy. If you two can hear me, your video is turned off and you have been muted.
I'm here.
Okay, and Kathy? Let me send a quick text over to Kathy.
And while you're doing that, do we have the next petitioner on the line? So can we elevate her?
Yes, this is the moderator. Amy, I'm going to go ahead and promote you up to a panelist. If you could unmute your microphone and do a quick mic check and also turn on your video.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, sorry. The barkers. Sorry.
That's all right. Good afternoon. How do I pronounce your last name?
It's Phrase.
Phrase, got it. Okay. We're not on the record yet, and in fact may still be trying to get a hold of, make sure that we have all the board members here. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to explain a little bit about how the procedure will work today, and make sure that you have all the documents that you need to have. Is Ms. Crawford, are you on the line?
Can you hear me?
I heard someone say that. There she is.
This is Anahita.
Yes, yep, hi. All right, so I have got your the Attorney General's exhibits. It looks like it's 1 through 5.
Yes.
And then there was also a document submitted that was called Petition Package, and it included a letter that explained that the original petition packet was not included, but then it was attached. Is that different from the petition that's included in the agency's unredacted exhibits?
Can you tell me where you're looking at?
Yes. So I'm looking on the OAH internal file system. There was the agency's unredacted exhibits were filed or submitted to us on July 15th, and then but earlier that day there was something submitted that's titled Petition Packet with a cover letter that says that the petition application was not included in the original request. The petition application has now been received by the board and is attached. And then after that cover letter includes the 3-page petition that Ms. Phrase filed. And so I just don't know if that's different from the petition packet, or pardon me, the petition itself that was included in the packet.
It is not different. It's the same.
Okay. All right. So I don't need to separately mark that. I can, for purposes today, ignore that. And the petition that's in your exhibits as Exhibit 4 is the petition.
Yes, we just needed to file that petition in order to get the matter on calendar. So that's the only reason we filed this separately.
Terrific. Thank you. Ms. Phrase, do you have those exhibits 1 through 5?
I don't know which ones you're talking about. I have some of the packet that I sent in, but I don't think I have all of it, but just let me know which ones you're talking about.
Okay. So the Attorney General's office filed exhibits in this case. The first exhibit is the notice of today's hearing. The next exhibit is your certification of license history.
Okay.
The third is a petition, probation compliance status report. The fourth is the petition itself with some attachments. And then the fifth is here. The stipulated settlement and disciplinary
Okay.
order statement.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I have those.
Okay. Will you have any documents that you intend to use as exhibits today?
No, I've submitted everything.
Okay. All right. As I said prior to the previous hearing, the way this will go is as follows. Once we go on the record, I'll identify the case. I'll ask the board members to identify themselves by roll call so we can establish a quorum. I will then ask the parties to identify themselves. Once I've done so, I'll turn it over to Ms. Crawford to give a brief orientation to the board about the history of the license and the petition as it stands today. At which point then we'll turn to you, and your case will be a little different because, as I understand it, you're not represented by an attorney today. Is that correct?
No, I don't have an attorney, Your Honor.
Okay. So instead of the previous hearing where the attorney asked questions of the petitioner who then answered them, rather than do that and ask yourself questions, we just have you testify in what we call the narrative format, which means that you just explain what you think the board needs to know when making this decision.
Okay.
You'll do so under oath, of course, and when you are done with your presentation, I'll turn it over to Ms. Crawford to cross-examine you and then open it up for any board questions.
Okay.
Please keep in mind that the board has had the opportunity to read your petition in full, including the attachments, and the board in these cases is particularly concerned with any rehabilitation. So as you decide what to include in your testimony, just keep that in mind.
Yes.
You heard my speech about speaking loudly enough, clearly enough, and one at a time enough that everyone can hear.
Yes.
I also have a dog that sometimes likes to participate in these kinds of hearings.
Sorry.
I will note that that will likely make it difficult for the court reporter to clearly make out.
Okay, we'll put them up. Yeah. We'll put them all up.
Come on, John.
They were not barking all morning until we started to speak.
That's the way it always is.
I know.
And so, and I understand that, given the current constraints from the public health emergency, that it may be that you cannot go to a place where you're not going to have dogs barking. If for some reason there is some sound that's happening, just maybe pause for a moment until the sound is over and just try to do your best to regulate that. The court reporter, of course, may interrupt if she didn't hear something, but we'll try to limit the crosstalk or cross barking.
Okay.
Any questions about any of that before we begin?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Crawford, I note that in this petition as well is a request for protective order.
That's correct.
Following AG 30, page 32,
Yep.
the request. And let me just double check. You're requesting a series of 5 pages all contained, or maybe 6 pages all contained within Exhibit 4 to be subject to that protective order.
Yes.
And it looks like they're, just to categorize, it looks like they're letters from some mental health professionals.
Correct.
Okay. We'll address that on the record as well. Ms. Fraze, I just want to make sure that you know what we're talking about so that when I address it on the record, I will ask whether you object to filing those records subject to a protective order, which keeps them from being part of the public record. And so because I intend to ask you that question, I want to make sure that you know what we're talking about. In the packet that Ms. Crawford submitted, the pages are numbered at the lower right-hand corner. And starting at page AGO 033, which is just a cover letter identifying the following pages as psychiatrist letters. There are, looks like 5 pages of letters from Sarah Pay and Hannah I don't know, some other people. So Ms. Crawford has asked that those documents be filed under seal. And as I said, once we're on the record, I will address that with her and ask whether you object to that. So you'll have an opportunity to weigh in on that.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Crawford, to take up before we go on the record?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And then let me not rush things. Ms. Sieferman, I think you were in the process of marshaling the other board members. Have you completed your marshaling?
I have. They are all present. Thank you.
Everyone is marshaled. All right. Let me get my. Yeah. Pardon me, just one moment. One of my documents has given me a pinwheel. Here it is. Okay, and Anne, are you ready to go on the record?
Yes, I'm ready, Your Honor.
All right, then we are on the record in the matter of the petition for early termination of probation of Petitioner Amy Louise Fraze. This is being heard before the Veterinary Medical Board on July 24, 2020. It is now approximately 1:12 p.m. It is agency case number 460-2018 000540 and Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2020 060059. My name is Sean Gavin. I'm the administrative law judge assigned to preside over this matter. Can I take the appearances of the parties, starting with counsel?
Anahita Crawford, Deputy Attorney General.
And Ms. Fraze, you are appearing by video call without the assistance of counsel. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Before I move forward, let's do a roll call of the board to establish a quorum.
Dr. Noland,
Yes.
Ms. Bowler,
Yes.
Dr. Bradbury,
Here.
Ms. Laredo,
Here.
Dr. Nunez,
Here.
Dr. Waterhouse,
Here.
Ms. Yanis.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Fraze, before we went on the record, I explained a little bit about the procedures that will follow today. Let me just briefly summarize those here as well so that the record is complete. In a moment, I'm going to ask Ms. Crawford to present a brief orientation of your petition to the board. So the board understands the history of the license as well as the contents of your current petition. Once she has done that, we'll turn then to you, and you'll have an opportunity to present your own evidence. Your evidence could come in the form of the presentation of documents. It can also come in the form of witness testimony, including testimony of yourself or other third-party witnesses. If you choose to testify after you're sworn in, of course, we will then ask that you testify in the narrative format in which you just explain what you think the board needs to know when making this decision. Once you've done so, I will then invite Ms. Crawford to cross-examine you, and I will then ask any board members who have questions to pose those questions to you. After we are concluded with the evidence portion, the parties will have the right to make closing arguments, at which point the matter will be submitted, and the board will then move to a closed session to discuss. Do you have any questions about that process?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Crawford, before we went on the record, we discussed that one of the documents includes a request for a protective order. Is it your preference to address that protective order when we get to those documents?
Yes, please.
All right. Then with that said, unless either party has any questions, I will turn it over to you, Ms. Crawford, to make your presentation.
Thank you. My name is Anahita Crawford. I'm the Deputy Attorney General appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's Office. Pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California, I'm here to assist the court in fact-finding to ensure adequate information is obtained from which to make a decision. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest. By way of background, in this case, the petitioner was issued her temporary veterinarian license on June 14, 2019. On January 31st, 2018, the board had filed a statement of issues denying petitioner's application for a veterinarian license. The reason for the denial was based on petitioner's conviction in 2016 in the state of Tennessee for a DUI. The denial was also based on discipline by the Tennessee board imposed on petitioner's vet license. In that case, petitioner had admitted to improperly spaying a canine in 2015, who later became pregnant. Furthermore, between 2005 and 2007, petitioner ordered controlled substances for the vet hospital where she worked. In excess of other vets at the facility, she intercepted the delivery of those orders. She ordered controlled substances in the name of her own pets and took deliveries to her home. She then appropriated the DEA number of another veterinarian to order additional controlled substances. The patient records indicated administration of controlled substances in an inappropriate amount. The petitioner underwent treatment for alcohol abuse in 2005, and she also entered treatment for substance abuse in 2007. Her Tennessee license was placed on probation for 4 years, beginning 2009, and she was prohibited from prescribing, ordering, or handling narcotics and controlled substances during the duration of probation. Her license in Tennessee was restored on August 15, 2013. A stipulated settlement in California became effective on July 12, 2018, whereby petitioner was issued a temporary veterinarian license upon completion of all her statutory requirements. Her license was then placed on probation for 5 years with terms and conditions which included ethics training, supervised practice, a medical and psychological evaluation, rehabilitation program, abstention, and drug and alcohol testing. At this time, she is seeking early termination of her probation with 3 years remaining on her probation term. She is in compliance with her probation terms. However, her ethics requirements for 2019 to 2020 have not yet been met. I can introduce the exhibits at this time, Your Honor.
Okay.
Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing for today's hearing date. I would request that be marked and introduced.
Ms. Reyes, do you object?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 1 is admitted without objection.
Okay. Exhibit 2 is the license history certification for the petitioner. I'd request that be marked as Exhibit 2 and introduced.
Ms. Reyes, do you object?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 2 is admitted without objection.
Exhibit 3 is the probation compliance status report. I'd request that be marked and introduced.
Ms. Reyes, do you object?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 3 will be admitted without objection.
Exhibit 4 is the petition for early termination of probation filed by the petitioner and the attachments in support. Request that be filed, marked and introduced.
Ms. Reyes, do you object?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 4 will be admitted.
And Exhibit 5, or actually, with regards to Exhibit 4, I wanted to note that we are requesting that AGO 33 through 38 be sealed by way of a protective order that is contained in Exhibit 4 after page AGO 32.
Ms. Fraze, do you object to filing those 5 pages of letters under seal?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I find good cause to enter that protective order, and we'll do so after the hearing and have it served on the parties. The record should reflect, Ms. Crawford, that the request for protective order includes an error in the name of the case. It looks like it's just a remnant from the request, and so I'm just clarifying so that the record is clear that the case name in the protective order that's entered will be adjusted to reflect this case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, and that's Exhibit 4.
That's Exhibit 4, and then Exhibit 5 is the corrected stipulated settlement and disciplinary order non-protunct and the statement of issues.
Ms. Fraze, do
And
you
then-
object to? Pardon. Go ahead, Ms. Crawford.
I'm sorry, I'd request that be marked as Exhibit 5 and introduced into evidence.
Ms. Fraze, do you object?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 5 is admitted without objection.
At this time, Your Honor, I don't have any additional exhibits or evidence to present.
All right, thank you, Ms. Crawford. Ms. Fraze, we then turn to you. To testify on your own behalf in this matter, I will have you raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. As I said at the outset, you may now testify in the narrative format, keeping in mind that the board has had the opportunity to review the petition.
Hi, thank you all for hearing me today. I appreciate it. So I wanted to discuss the measures that I've taken for rehabilitation. In 2007, I did, it was a pretty dark time for me. I was on a lot of prescription drugs that my doctor had put me on. I was severely overweight. I was in a toxic situation, both at home and at work. So I took.
Ms. Fraze,
Yes.
this is AIJ Gavin. I need you to speak a little slower so that
Okay.
the reporter gets exactly what you have said.
Okay. So I took the medications I was on and submitted myself to a psych ward at the hospital and asked for help. I spent a week there, and they recommended I go to a rehab facility, and I did. I went to Cornerstone of Recovery and I stayed 3 months. During that time, I got therapy like 6 to 8 hours a day, AA meetings every day, lots of help that I needed to go through reasons why I had an addiction problem and to find those triggers that set things off. And I never went back to my home, and I never went back to the job. I started over. I started a new life at that point. I started working part-time at an emergency center, and I worked at a spay neuter clinic for 2 years as well. That was in 2007. I did everything that the rehab facility recommended. The Tennessee board was kind of in a state of flux at that point. So they didn't get to my case until 2009, but I had already been doing all of the things that they recommended. I was calling in every day for random drug screens, going to the AA meetings, just doing everything that they had recommended for the 12-step program. So they put my license on probation for 4 years, but it ended up being 6. They just, because they had come in kind of late to the game, they put another few years on there when I'd already done 2, but it was fine. I completely changed my life. I had seen a psychiatrist at the psych ward and had been diagnosed and put on some medication. And that has helped in every aspect of my life, as well as changing everything. So I worked very hard for my sobriety at that point, and I was doing very well until 2016 when I had a brief relapse, and I got the DUI. And since that date, I have doubled my efforts to make sure I maintain my sobriety. And also in 2016, my daughter, with her 3 children, became homeless in San Diego. And so I brought them all to live with me in Tennessee. And they have lived with me ever since. My daughter is disabled. She has at least 3 to 5 autoimmune diseases, and is unable to work. So I take care of her, and my grandchildren are 15, 14, and 11. And so I take care of them. I go to regular meetings. I exercise every day. I'm doing the clutch body workout right now, 28-day program for the second time. Since COVID started and I was unable to go out to exercise, I exercise at home. Every day I start my day in prayer and meditation. I ask God to remove all my shortcomings. I surrender my life to Him. I try to work through the 12 steps every day. I listen to the Christian radio station on the way to work. It's been a real blessing. It's a very positive way to start the day, so that throughout my day, when stressful things happen, I can think of some of the songs that I've heard on the way there that give me inspiration. I eat very well. I've cut out all junk food from my diet. I take lots of supplements. I'm in great health for 65. I see the psychiatrist every 3 months, talk about any issues that have come up. I'm doing, I feel a great job at my place of work, and I'm very, very thankful that I started working at Banfield. I feel like I have gotten so much support there. They know everything about my story, and they've been super supportive through the whole way. And so I feel like I have a future there. I just got a great review and raise, and they've asked me to apply for the chief of staff position when I'm off probation. So I feel like I'm very dedicated at maintaining a great lifestyle, a sober lifestyle, and I have so much to lose if that happens, if I should drink again or take drugs. So I do, log in every day for random drug screens, and I go about once a week to do a urine test, and they have been clean all time. I have a great family support system now. My daughter and my grandchildren are very supportive. My son lives here, and he's very supportive. And my children's dad also is in the picture. We're a great team that we all work together because it does take a village to raise children. So I just participated in 5K runs last year with my granddaughter. We did about 5 of them. I was signed up for 2 this year, but unable.
I'm sorry, this is ARJ Gavin. Once again, just try to keep the pace a little slower.
Sorry.
All right.
So my granddaughter Emma and I did 5K runs last year, about 5 of them. This year we were signed up for 2, but because of COVID, we've been unable to do any races. So we've kind of done our exercise at home. I have a stationary bike in my room as well. So I exercise in the morning before work, and then I do a little biking in the evening. So I have a tower garden where we're growing our own vegetables, and we juice every day. So I'm very committed to living a healthy lifestyle, especially since COVID. It's very, very important for us older people to be in good health. I have been working every day. We're an essential business, so I have worked through all of the COVID and felt very safe at my job. I feel like they've been doing a wonderful job at keeping us safe. So my petition is just, I don't intend to do anything different. It's just that I would like to be able to advance in my company. At this point, I think it would be helpful for my daughter and my grandchildren for me to be able to progress in the company, as well as not have the fees that are associated with doing the urine testing. But I have no intention of doing anything different than what I'm doing, maintaining my sobriety. That's my testimony.
All right, thank you for that. Ms. Crawford, do you have any cross-examination questions?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Fraze.
Thank you.
What is your sobriety date?
My second sobriety date would be March 12th of 2016.
2016. Okay. And that's sobriety from drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
What was your sobriety date before that?
It was April 15th of 2007.
So we know from your petition that in 2007, after your, I believe it was the issues with the board, you did start a rehabilitation program. And can you tell us what that rehabilitation program back in 2007 looked like?
Yes, I submitted myself to the psych ward for a week and then went to Cornerstone of Recovery. The first month you're in like the main housing. You have AA meetings pretty much back to back. You also have group therapy and individual therapy for that entire month. After that month, we moved down to where it was like a women's housing. There were like 6 trailers where you lived with 5 other women, and you kept a schedule where you went to AA meetings. You had therapy sessions for about 6 hours, and then you went and did volunteer work. I went and folded clothes at the Goodwill and went through and straightened things up there. We just did whatever was needed. And then in the evening, we would go to an AA meeting. And so I did that 2 months of that. And then I moved into an apartment by myself and didn't go back to the situations which were causing me some issues. So.
Okay, and you maintained sobriety for quite a period of time, about 9 years.
Yes.
Were you maintaining sobriety during that time?
I was, yes.
Okay. So what happened again in 2016 that caused this relapse after such a long time being sober?
I feel I just fell into another situation where I felt hopeless and lonely. My family, I was by myself, living by myself, and not with my family. I think loneliness was one of the big triggers there. And so I was out and, just made a stupid decision that I could have some wine. And, that was a very, very bad mistake. And I, lost that time of sobriety, which was very hurtful to me because I'd worked so hard to maintain that. And I never want to be in that place again.
Had you been going to AA meetings and keeping in touch with a support group prior
I
to your
had,
relapse?
I had, but not really being honest about where I was emotionally.
And in 2016, you sought out some rehabilitation again, and you have maintained your sobriety since that date,
Yes.
March 12th, 2016.
Yes.
Okay, and what are you doing? What did you start doing in 2016 in addition to what you had already done back in 2007 to get sober?
Well, first of all, having my family around me has really helped. So that's one of the things I did, was bring my family to me, so that I wasn't lonely. So that was something that helped quite a bit. I started going to meetings again. I established a good relationship with my higher power, which I had really lost, and started doing the prayer and meditation and working the steps again.
Is there anything today that you can reassure the board that with your 4 years of sobriety, that there isn't a relapse in your future?
I never want to be that person again. I don't like that person. I really love where I'm at now. I feel like I'm doing my whole spiritual outlook, my whole physical outlook, having my family. They all depend on me. I cannot afford to make a stupid mistake or use alcohol or drugs. I have people depending on me every day to be the best person that I can be. And I would not ever want to disappoint them or put them in a position where they felt unsafe. They had a lot of years where they were unsafe in the situation they were in with my daughter's ex-husband. It was terrifying. And they had no stability. And now they have that. And that is a huge motivation for me, is that people are depending on me. It's a team, and I'm part of that team.
I know you said that you've also sought treatment and received a diagnosis from your psychiatrist. Have you determined how your mental health has played a role in you being unable to maintain your sobriety?
Yes. So I come from a family that has a long history of mental illness on my mother's side. A lot of schizophrenia, and but my mother's bipolar. So when I went in to the psychiatry ward, the psychiatrist diagnosed me as bipolar type 2 because I had like severe anxiety and insomnia. So a lot of the reason why I drank was was self-medicating to sleep, because I would go days without sleep. And so having the diagnosis and I've been on Seroquel since that time has really helped. And I talk to the psychiatrist every 3 months, and it's not a situation where I would want to go off the medication, because I feel like that helps with my stability and helps with my sobriety, is treating mental illness, which most of my family never would go for treatment. They just have suffered with the mental illness, and there's no reason to do that.
So you are seeking to terminate your probation 3 years early. Do you understand why the board placed you on a 5-year probation term?
I'm not really sure, but I know within Tennessee, it was because after 3 years, many people relapsed, and so they did 5 at that point. So I'm not sure if the California board is that same way, but yeah.
Okay. Do you think that the 5-year term was because you were just 2 years into your sobriety at the time you were placed on probation?
That is likely. Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. And so there might be a concern. Can you recognize that there might be a concern on the part of the board that they placed you on 5 years of probation to not only give you an opportunity to demonstrate that you will continue to maintain your sobriety and be a safe practitioner, but to also allow that oversight that is needed for you to be a safe practitioner. Can you recognize that that was a concern at the time?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So you're before the board with 4 years of sobriety, and you are requesting that the board no longer have that additional 3 years of oversight to ensure that you're a safe practitioner. How do you convince the board that that extra 3 years is just not needed?
I just feel like I have shown that I can keep my sobriety and that I have been successful at that. One of my motivations is on probation, I'm not allowed any supervisory positions, so it really kind of keeps me from advancing in the company. So I'm not, opposed even to instead of termination, just do something so that I can still advance in the company. I mean, I have no intention of doing anything different than what I'm doing now. So, but I know that that's just words, and so the board probably would like some. So I'm not sure how to convince them. I feel like I have done everything that I can do to maintain my sobriety, and I will continue to do that. But it takes you having faith, and I know sometimes that's hard. That having faith that I will do what I say I'm going to do, and I don't have any problem with the board saying, okay, you need to do these certain things, and we'll just kind of not terminate it, but make some allowance for you to still be able to advance in the company. The other thing was, the financial concern, since I am supporting a lot of people. The financial concerns about going for a urine test every week, it's costing about $500 a month. So I understand that's a consequence of my own behavior. So I accept that, so if the board feels like I still need to continue, then I am willing to accept that. But I feel like I'm on a good path, and I'm going to stay on that path. And I have so much to lose. I can't afford to do crazy things. I have to maintain my sobriety, and I enjoy my sobriety. I love my life right now. My life is very, very good. And I have so much support, and I feel like I have a great relationship with God, and I'm on the best path I've hopefully ever been on. So I feel good about where I'm at.
And just briefly, can you explain the circumstances surrounding the improper spaying of the canine? What led to that?
Honestly, I don't know. I never got a chance to answer any of that before it all became record, because I think I was in rehab when they were doing all of that. I do not remember anything like that or having anything come back on me. It was years later. I worked at that practice in 2007, and then in like 2009, they said it. I honestly don't know that I did that or remember it. I mean, I feel like that was not something I would do, but
Was there a time
I don't
during
know.
your addiction when you did go to work maybe under the influence? And
Yes.
Okay.
My doctor had put me on a lot of heavy prescription pain medicine at that time, and I was still trying to work. So that was terrible, and I shouldn't have done that. I definitely was not myself, and I felt like I was fairly near death when I took myself in and asked for help. So yes, I did go to work impaired. So it's a possibility, but I don't remember an incident.
And since 2016, are you presently on any pain medication?
No, absolutely not. I take a lot of supplements. I take vitamin B and C. I take magnesium. I take my Seroquel. So I'm on gabapentin. I've been on that since the 2007. And other than that, I injured my back a little last year, and I went to the doctor's office. And when Sydney was there, she was like, "Well, you can take pain medicine. You just have to record it." I said, "No, I'm not going down that road. I will take steroids, but I will not take any pain medicine. I don't even really take ibuprofen anymore." So I would not do it. Even if I had an injury, I would ask for something else.
And have you taken any of the ethics courses for the 2019-2020 year?
I did. I thought that I met that requirement, but Ms. Gerard was saying that, I thought Sydney told me that going to that 3-day course covered my ethics, but I think that she said that it didn't. So I can do some more ethics courses. I just haven't been able to get to any CE because of COVID this year. So otherwise I would have done it, but I can certainly find some online courses if that's necessary. I didn't realize I was lacking in those courses.
Okay. When you refer to Sydney, who are you referring to?
Oh, Villarreal at the board. Ms. Villarreal, she was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's somebody you're communicating with at the board.
Yes, she was board probationary person. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I do not have any more questions for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Crawford. Now comes the time for the board members to ask any questions they might have. Let me pull up my participant list and invite the board members to virtually raise a hand if you have a question for me. Right. I'm not seeing any hands raised at this point. Nope, untrue. Ms. Bowler.
Hi. Thank you for coming. And excuse me bobbing in and out. I have a dog that just had knee surgery.
I heard that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, TPLO. And it's
Oh,
a
gosh.
150-pound newfie. So when he needs to move, I have to kind of, anyway, just got him home.
I understand.
Sorry. So I didn't mean to be disrespectful. And I was really listening to everything that was going on. I just had to move away. Thank you very much for all of this. I really appreciate it. I just had a couple of questions. And one, it's very clear how strong your family is as a support mechanism to you and how much you feel responsible for them and are so totally interconnected. But I also look at that as, well, it's a positive. It also can be a stressor. Obviously, your daughter has some illnesses and you're raising your 3 grandchildren. And so I'm just wondering, you do go to meetings. I wanted to ask how often you go, and I may have missed it, I apologize, to AA meetings, and what other AA type of support, mechanisms to utilize.
Typically, I was going about once a week. Since COVID, it's been really difficult. The church that I have my meetings at closed down, and then they opened, and we were going to go back, and then they closed. So COVID's been really difficult. But I typically go to one AA meeting a week if I can. On my days off, I'll go. So sometimes twice a week, sometimes once. And then I don't go to a lot of AA functions, but I do stay connected with the 12-step program.
Okay, thank you. And then where's my note here? And you're still seeing your therapist. You said
Yes.
every 3 months or so. During in Tennessee with the controlled substances problems, which drugs were your particular problem?
I was on Vicodin. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and I think that was it. Oh, one other thing. I think I know you still need to do your ethics, but I think that in one other part of the probation, if I'm not wrong, and Jessica, please correct me, or maybe it looks like there's $2,300 still due. Is that correct, guys? On the
I'm doing $100 a month for monitoring costs. Okay.
Yeah, if we were to reduce or terminate the probation, I believe if there was any funding, any amount due for the costs of the investigation, et cetera, that would all be due at that time. And
Okay.
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just wondered if that was a problem.
I don't know. I have some money in savings, so I possibly could do that. I don't know how much is left on there, because I was just doing $100 a month. So I'll have to look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
Pardon?
This is Christina here. I think that if it's just for probation monitoring and we suspend probation and reinstate the license fully, I think for those ones, they don't owe, it's the cost is $100 a month for the cost of what we're doing. I don't know that there was a cost of investigation, but
Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
sorry.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And that's all I have question-wise, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bowler. I also see a hand raised from Dr. Bradbury.
hi, Dr. Fraze.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for coming. As I think we said in the last one, but also for you, we know it's really hard to come and do this and kind of lay your life bare in front of people. So I applaud you for doing that and for being so open about the details of your mental illness, which I think is really something that we should all be more open about and talk about. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that is just an illness. I'm really glad you're getting help for that. And finally, that was recognized. I'm sorry it was so late in life that, but it happened, and that's great. I guess my questions are also surrounding the diversion of controlled substances. I know that was a long time ago, and obviously you recognize there was a problem. There was something in the record about, I believe it was hydromorphone that was had been diluted out.
Yes.
Was that something that you did?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you injecting drugs at that time?
No. Yes. Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how are you around them now when you're in the clinic? Like, what are you handling them? What's happening there?
Yes, I mean, I don't have hydromorphone, but I have, I have the drugs we use at Banfield. They're in a sealed box. We keep excellent records, DA records. I can't even believe that was me. I think because I was on some other drugs that my doctor had put me on, I really wasn't totally myself. That's a horrible thing I did, and I would never consider doing that again. That's a part of me that I really hated that it happened, and I guess it was in a way it brought me down to the point where I knew I needed help. So that was the only positive thing about that, is that I hit my rock bottom, and so then I got help for that, and and then realized the mental illness and why I was doing the things I was doing. That was the great thing about the 3 months rehab, is that you make a chart of your relationships, and you're like, what am I doing? What have I done all my life, and what can I do different? And getting all of that therapy really helped, because I grew up in a pretty terrible environment. I was the oldest of 6 kids, and my mom is bipolar, and we did not have any stability. And I went straight from that to an abusive marriage. And, I could see the pattern, and, all of that is about breaking the pattern, and how recognizing the pattern and then breaking the pattern. And so I'm glad that it happened, in the fact that I did get help from that. But that was a horrible time. And I would never want to be that person again. I have no desire to use drugs. I feel great the way I am. So I don't have the need to self-medicate because I feel good. I'm doing all the good things, eating right and no sugar, and, exercising every day. And I just, I like where I'm at. So that was a horrible time, and I would never want to do that again. And I don't feel the least bit like, oh, I'd like to do that again. That was horrible, and I never want to do that again. So I don't have any problem being around the drugs. I have, we did have hydromorphone and morphine the whole time I worked at the ER during my years in Tennessee. I never felt like I wanted to do that again, you know.
Yeah, thank you. It definitely was encouraging to hear that you declined pain medication after your procedure or surgery. I can't remember what it was, but I think that's a good sign, and
Yeah.
recognizing your susceptibility to that happening again, because I think it happens very quickly for people who have a propensity for it. Does your psychiatrist suggest that you have any like therapy, somebody to talk to, like on a monthly basis or anything like that?
No, she's been great, and since I've been seeing her, we talk about anything that could be a stressor. We talk about work. Everything is going so well, and like I said, I have my family, and so we're really open and honest with each other, and so I feel like it's kind of therapy on a daily basis, and we have teenagers, and so we have lots of issues to talk about all the time. So yeah, I feel like we have this really open, honest relationship at home, and so seeing the psychiatrist every 3 months has been fine, and she hasn't suggested I need any more therapy.
Okay, that's great. And then, so things sound like they are going great, and I'm so happy for you. It seems like that's something that hasn't really been a part of your life for a long time. Things going great. I'm glad to hear that. Do you have a plan in place for when? Because ultimately, eventually something's not going to go great.
Right.
What's your plan for when that happens?
Well, there's nothing. I mean, I know that the last petitioner said this, but there's nothing that can happen that I can't make worse by using drugs or alcohol. I mean, that does not solve anything, and so. We have bad things happen. I mean, life is life, and things happen now and then. And my daughter being sick, it's sometimes a daily fight. But we rely on the Lord that He's in control, and that even if bad things happen, it's for a reason. It's a lesson. It's something I need to learn, and it just work gets stressed, it's stressed at work and people complain and all that. But I just feel like I have an inner peace now that I've never had before. And so that gets me through that. And even if something bad should happen, I mean, my son is a vice president at 24 Hour Fitness, which has been very difficult during COVID. So that's kind of a bad thing happening. And, we're kind of day to day with him. And just bad things happen in life all the time. But my plan is to stay on this path, because this path is a path of success, and I don't want to be on a path of failure ever again.
Thanks. Just a last comment, and that's obviously we are kind of here to protect the public, but we also care about people in general, and so I just I want to encourage you to continue down the path you're on, and with the work you're doing. And you might want to, maybe regardless of what happens here today, consider just thinking about some other strategies that you might have, like, and maybe talk to your psychiatrist, just so that you have something a little bit more concrete if something really stressful happens. It's just my own life experience and the people I love and everything, and that's just out of a caring for you as a human being. And thank you for coming today. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Bradbury.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bradbury. I also see a hand from Dr. Waterhouse.
Dr. Fraze, thank you for being here also. Again, we all know how hard this is. I just have a couple things. So one is, do you have a DEA license?
Yes, I do. And I'm on probation at the DEA.
Okay.
So it was 2-year probation, and it ends like in January. So they just asked me to continue whatever the board says. And then I file quarterly reports with them, where I send them all of my drug logs, everything that's come in, and then at Banfield, it's really, it's the best protection that you could have, because you go through your drug box, you have another doctor present, you make sure everything's correct, then you send in all the forms. So I send that all into the DEA every quarter. And so I've been doing that for like a year and a half. It will end January. That would be the last quarter I would have to submit.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And then, so you're looking, one of the reasons that you want to stop probation is a main reason it sounds like is so that you can advance at Banfield.
Yes.
Do you want to manage more of a management position?
Yes, the chief of staff position. We've had a lot of turnover at Banfield, so we've lost a lot of doctors. We don't have a chief of staff, and it's kind of a managerial position where you're just over the clinic and making sure everything runs right, make sure we meet all our metrics and that kind of thing. So it is more organizational. They've asked me to onboard a new doctor that'll be coming in where they've hired a lot of new grads. And so they have positions open. And because I've been a top producer and done very well in the company, and plus I have a lot of, veterinary experience, they asked if I would be interested in doing that. And so they wanted me to start taking on more responsibility so that probably by January, if the probation is over, or if I can, to get the chief of staff position.
Okay. So my question is that managing people can be a stress, sometimes lots of stress. And so you don't think that would be a trigger? Have you taken on some of these responsibilities anyway? It sounds
yes,
like.
I have. Yeah, I've been helping. We have a practice manager, and of course she's young, and we've lost a lot of people, and she's needed help. So I have been trying to help her and taken on some of the responsibility of, calling back clients that are unhappy about something. And, that's just veterinary life. You're always going to have someone who's not entirely happy. And so we call and try to smooth things out. I try to, it's a lot of young people. So of course they look to me, I'm like their grandma. So I help out with training some of the new people that come in, the new veterinary assistants and things. So I have taken on some of the responsibilities, although not really supervisory.
Okay, that's all for my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Waterhouse. I also see a hand from Dr. Nunez.
Hi, thanks for appearing here today. I know it's difficult, and when we're evaluating these petitions, what we're looking for is evidence of rehabilitation, and I just want to make sure I understand all that you are doing for rehabilitation. I acknowledge the supportive family, and are you still there?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Your video is, there you are. Okay. It sounds like you have a very supportive family. It sounds like you have a very supportive work environment. You're exercising, you're eating well, you meditate, spirituality. Those are all very, very good things. You acknowledge your faults and take responsibility for it. In regards to your mental health issue, you've been diagnosed with type 2 bipolar disease, and you're taking Seroquel and seeing the psychiatrist once every 3 months.
Yes.
Is that considered managed? Is that there's no more issues there?
No, that's considered managed. I've been doing very well on the Seroquel and been on the same dose for all. They did up the dose in 2016, but I've been on that dose since then, and it's going very well.
Okay. And then for alcoholism, again, I acknowledge all those other things you're doing, but you're going to AA meetings once a week,
Mm-hmm.
and you know your sobriety date. Do you have a sponsor?
Yes.
And okay, and then for the diversion issue in 2007, do you go to anything like Narcotics Anonymous?
It pretty much a mixed group of alcohol and narcotics. So yeah, the meetings were a lot of different diverse addiction issues. So yeah, so it was a lot of NA and then AA as well. So we kind of went to both types of meetings when I was in the rehab center, and then the group that I went to a doctor's group once a week, and it was mostly NA. There were a lot of pharmacists, a lot of anesthesiologists, other kinds of doctors. There was a whole group of doctors, veterinarians included, that was mostly drug addiction issues.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I had.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nunez. Look at the list here. I don't see any other hands. Oh, Ms. Yanez.
Yeah, I should have interrupted. Mark just asked all my questions, so I'm good right now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right, let me look here. I don't see any other hands raised. Let me just open it up to any other board members have questions they would like to ask.
I just would like to say thank you for coming before the board, and I really appreciate your testimony, and am very proud of you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Noland. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, let me ask Ms. Crawford, do you have any additional cross-examination like that?
I don't, Your Honor.
And Ms. Fraze, do you have anything else you'd like to add at this point?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, then in a moment, I'm going to ask if the parties have any closing argument. That's a time to summarize what you think the evidence was and suggest what outcome you think should follow. Ms. Crawford, would you like to make a closing argument?
No, thank you.
And Ms. Fraze, would you like to make a closing argument?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. In that case, then I'm going to ask whether the matter is submitted. And by that, I mean, are you satisfied that you've had a full opportunity to present all argument and present all evidence on your behalf? Ms. Crawford, is the matter submitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Fraze, is the matter submitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then the matter is submitted, the case is closed, and we are off the record. Please don't hang up just yet. I'm going to ask the court reporter if she needs any spelling.
Okay.
No spellings.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ms. Fraze. That concludes your participation here today. I'm just going to do some housekeeping with the court.
Thank you.
You can stay on the line for that or not, it's up to you. And I just need the ending time and the estimated number of pages when you're ready.
Yeah. End time 2:08 and 38 pages.
Better than 86?
Yes.
All right. All right, then I'll turn it back over to the board. And I think that's everything I need from you.
Oh, okay. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So
Right,
at this point, we'll go into oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anne. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know if you were talking to me. I thought, see,
Nope.
I'm the worst offender. Okay, so I'm going to hang up unless anyone needs anything. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to go into closed session. Everyone who is from the public or staff, we're all going to sign off. The moderator is going to lock the meeting to the public, and then you guys are free to discuss your items in closed session.
Is it the same meeting and everyone who's not invited is leaving, or is there a new link for a closed session?
Same meeting.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Will we be going back to open session after at a certain point?
Yes. My mute's not working anymore.
And will Tara stay with us?
Yes.
Yes. Once closed session is over, I will reopen the meeting, and then we'll resume a few agenda items that did not get resolved yesterday.
Excellent.
Okay, this is the moderator. I'm going to pass over the host role to Justin, and then everyone else who doesn't need to be
reconvene the meeting, open it to the public, Veterinary Medical Board, July 24th. And we're on agenda item 14F, I believe. And take it away, Patty.
Moderator, do you see that if Patty has joined?
Let's see. I don't see Patty back online yet.
Okay, she's trying to join right now. Perhaps in the meantime, members, I can just go over the outreach report. Moderator, if you wouldn't mind turning over the presentation rights to me, then I'll go over the outreach.
Sure. Let me pass that over in just a second. Great. You should have presentation rights.
Okay. Do you guys see that screen okay? Okay. So real quickly, members, this is just a recap of all the accomplishments we've been able to do for outreach. As you'll notice, all of these executive reports, they mention the strategic plan objectives from the draft strategic plan that we provided in January as a result of the October strategic planning session. Although they're draft strategic plan objectives, we still wanted to make a point to do our best to accomplish and work on any of the objectives that were requested. So for outreach accomplishments, we were able to revamp all of our customer satisfaction surveys. As you may recall from reviewing our sunset report, we used to have just one customer satisfaction survey for enforcement, and it was sent out after an enforcement case was closed. We did have an inspection survey for specifically the inspectors and how well they did. What we did instead is we revamped the surveys. We created one for enforcement, licensing, and a general survey as well. And we created that through SurveyMonkey. We did a contract through SurveyMonkey to be able to utilize that. And then we launched it recently and we put it on all of our signature blocks, and we'll be sending that out periodically to stakeholders as they contact us to get those results from all of the stakeholders. We think that this is a much better way to identify ways of improvement and to get feedback from all of our stakeholders. So we're excited that this was able to be accomplished this year.
Have you received any 5-star ratings yet?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did we receive any 5-star ratings yet?
You know, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to go back and look at those ratings, but we will be reporting on it next board meeting.
I'm hoping for 5 stars.
I would like 5 stars as well. We do have increased timely updates on our website. If you've noticed, we sent out quite a bit of listserv through our email blasts whenever we post updates on our website as well. Especially with COVID, it was important for us to post timely updates on our website and any clarifications that we can provide. So that was a strategic plan objective 5.3, and we'll continue to do that as well. A lot of these objectives are always, I think, are just, it's good to just make them ongoing because we'll always be able to do this. Increased electronic communication and social media presence, kind of in line with the updates on our website. We are doing that a lot more frequently. As mentioned in the report, we used our listserv. Initially, it was an opt-in method, which is not uncommon to do, but we had very little subscribers in that. So whenever in the past we would send out information, it was only reaching a very small population of individuals. And so what we did is we took all of the emails that were tied to Breeze accounts in there when licensees put in their email address as part of their contact information. We ran a report and dumped all of those emails into listserv to make sure that we're capturing all those individuals. So now we're over 24,000 stakeholders that we're reaching, which we think is a huge improvement. And then anything that we send out through our email blast, we also post on our website, and we do it through social media. So we feel like that's really improved so far our communication and outreach with all of our stakeholders. our goals for next year, we would like to improve our website. I have already reached out to OIS. Actually, I reached out in October because I knew that there was going to be a wait to update our website. So I have reached out to them and we hope to start shortly. I just needed to get through this board meeting first, but within the next month, we'll be meeting with OIS on what we like to have done. And if you recall, that request was from board member Jennifer Laredo. And so we had asked her to participate in those meetings with them too, so she can provide her feedback from someone who doesn't live on the website like we do. So we thought that would be helpful. We also are going to develop and re-implement the newsletter. The goal was, I think, twice a year. I want to do it more frequently, and I think that we can do that with DCA Public Affairs Design Team. I want to do it electronically and have it in a really reader-friendly format. And I have already some ideas from a couple what other boards have done, and we're kind of morph it into what we feel is best for our stakeholders. We are going to create how-to videos. We've started, initiated some meetings with our public affairs team to do some how-to videos for applicants, for our licensees, and for consumers on how to do certain processes that apply to them. We are also going to share those videos on our website and all of our social media and our emails. We're also going to create I don't even think this is on here, but we're going to also create a recruitment video for our subject matter experts that we would like to also send to the association. So whenever they have any kind of CE events, we're going to ask that they also just do a quick play of our video to see if we can get some more subject matter experts. When it comes to the Who We Are videos, I think it's important that we create these, and I envision like really short PSA announcements of who we are, and we can tailor it to not only our licensees, but also to consumers, because a lot of times they don't even know that we exist, and there's just so much confusion when it comes to animals and what we can do. And so I think that we can work with DCA's public affairs team to create some more valuable PSA announcements that we can start sending out through our social media. So that's all I have for outreach. Do you have any questions or any other things that you'd like us to add to the list?
Do you need any board members to be in the video?
Yes, I would like to have some board members in the video, actually. We had reached out to Dr. Bradbury to see if she was willing to, because she was local, to do a video in her office with examining a patient. But if any board members would like to join on the video, Dr. Nunez, you are welcome to do so. We'd like to get a board member's perspective of why a subject matter expert is important in a case, or why you felt it was necessary to join the board, and any message that you'd like to get out. We would love to have more people join our videos.
Can Mark wear epaulets and stuff? Or a uniform? I will be happy to volunteer as a consumer to bring one of my animals to see Dr. Bradbury, and I can play the consumer board member, and she can be the veterinary board member. But anyway.
And that would be fantastic. I will say that I won't be at that clinic.
I know.
At the end of August. So
you'll have to drive to my house.
Jessica, I have a lot of friends around here. We can find somewhere else to do it.
Great.
It sounds fun.
Jessica, I wanted to thank you guys. I meant to do this yesterday with Rob's, all the reports. I really appreciate having the strategic plan objectives all throughout them, because it's kind of like our mission statement. It's really good to see that, you know, what we're doing now and what we're planning to do is all in line with the strategic plan. So for me, I really appreciate it. I think it's a really good idea.
Good, thank you.
Mark and I thank you also. And I also appreciate the new wording that'll help us to consolidate and use some wording that useful. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I think all these are great. These are fantastic ideas.
Great. Thank you. All right. Anything else? We'll move on. I think Patty has joined us. Patty, are you able to do your video?
I'm here.
Okay. Is your video working?
It says it is.
All right, great. Moderator, would you mind giving Patty presentation rights, please?
Yes, I will do that right now. All right, Patty, you should have presentation rights now.
I don't know if you can see my report.
I cannot see it yet.
I could see it. I'm sorry, I don't know why y'all can't see it.
Patty, if you go up to the top of your WebEx screen and click share, there should be an option to say my screen, and that will share your screen.
There we go.
Now we can see it. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Saving the best for last, right? So as far as inspections goes, we were finally able to fill all our positions in May with Miss Chan rounding up our team. She she is a licensed pharmacy tech, and she is pretty knowledgeable with the Cures program, as she did use that in her previous position. So we're excited to have her. And as the other managers have mentioned, due to the current circumstances, the team has been working at home for the majority of the time, and we do meet on a daily basis through Zoom or FaceTime, and just to maintain that physical connection as much as possible during this time. And I don't know if anyone mentioned, but we've done a couple of monthly social distancing lunches. Keeping a safe distance, of course, and just so we can at least see each other, and try to maintain that morale as best we can. The inspectors continue to go out in the field and conduct complaint-related inspections as well as probation inspections. And of course, under the circumstances, staff and managing licensees are surprised to see them, and have made some comments about, the surprise that the board continues to conduct inspections, but we remind them as an essential office that we are still required to maintain our duties and to go out there and ensure the consumer protection. And if we receive, or as we receive complaints, and we do still need to continue to conduct those inspections. And as you heard Rob mention in his report, enforcement is leaning more on the inspection staff rather than DFI and their investigative staff. So we have been working even closer with enforcement staff and trying to get out there as much as we can when they need us to. And also conducting those probation inspections, because in those cases, we already know that there has been patient harm. So in those cases, it's even more critical to be out there and making sure these probationers are meeting their terms and conditions. And those inspections have uncovered some surprising issues, and they will be addressed accordingly. Staff in the office or working from home rather, we have been focusing on reducing that backlog. So the easier part of inspections is actually having the inspectors go out and conduct the inspection. That's not the hard part. The time consuming part is the what goes on behind what goes on in the office, and reviewing the correction documents, the back and forth with our in-house inspection consultant, which is Dr. Jim Howard, who I'm going to take this moment to really thank for everything that he does, for not just the inspection program, but for the enforcement team, as well as, I think Jessica too will agree that we all programs really we lean on him for his expertise on a regular basis. So we are very, very fortunate to have him on our team. And so I just want to take this time to publicly thank him for his expertise and the hours that he puts in for the board and the profession. We continue to try to promote our self-evaluation checklist at every opportunity that comes up, and we encourage managing licensees to conduct mock inspections of their facilities. We provide a link to that checklist, as well as a list or the language that details the managing licensee responsibilities anytime a premises is issued. So we include those links on there, and hopefully they're clicking on those and making sure that they're aware of what their role is as a managing licensee. Usually during this time, we're getting ready to hold our annual inspector training, which is usually a 2 to 4 day training session, but due to the circumstances, we're narrowing it down to a 1 day virtual training, and we have most of our inspectors returning, so they'll be participating in our training next month. That's scheduled next month. As you look at the statistical reports, those are new reports that thank you, Jessica, developed, and I think it does do a much better job of showing the board what the whole story is when it comes to routine inspection, not just routines, but complaint related and probation inspections as well, and really how long that cycle time is, because again, it's not the inspection itself that is taking a long time. It's the review that comes after it. So I think the new reporting tool does a better job of showing you what that looks like. So we still have a significant backlog. We've made a dent in it, but it's still a pretty significant backlog, and that's even with really not doing a whole lot of inspections this past year, because we've been trying to focus on that backlog. So I think overall what it shows is you probably, when you look at the stats, the 3 positions that we were able to add just are not adequate. So that's something that we're going to continue to look at and work on, and in the future, if warranted, seek a PCP for additional positions, but that's down the line. Another issue, new kind of switch for us is having our analysts work the complaint-related inspections and the complaint itself, and taking that through the entire process, whether it results in a citation or if it results in administrative action, is having them work the entire case. So that's something new that we are working through and going through a transition period for that, as the analysts are trained and start to work those cases instead of handing them off or handing them back to enforcement once the inspection is completed and the review is done, just having them take it all the way. Our accomplishments this past year is, again, trying to promote that checklist at every opportunity, and that's an ongoing. That's something that's ongoing, and that we will continue to do as much as possible. And we've also been working on making sure that we enter as much information as possible into Breeze, and doing that diligently so that we can make sure our stats are accurate, and making sure we utilize Breeze to the best of our ability that we can, and identify any areas that do need that we need to improve. Again, we're focusing on the probation inspections, and nearly all probationers have been inspected, but as y'all know, there are new probationers that come on, so we're trying to address those as soon as possible. And we've gone paperless with all the inspections, including the complaint and the probation inspections. So that actually couldn't have come at a better time with everything going on. So that was pretty good timing there. Or looking ahead, again, this is an ongoing goal, is to meet that mandate, and we'll do the best we can, but it's going to continues to be a challenge. Continuing our collaboration with professional organizations to circulate our checklists, and looking at designing minimum standard attestation for new premises, and retaining our inspectors. I mean, we've got some excellent and extremely talented and very dedicated inspectors, and we want to do what we can to retain them, because they're the face of the board. They're the ones that are out there in the trenches, and they're out there representing not just the board but the profession as well. So we really want to retain them. Utilizing that cite and fine authority that we've had, and just really taking advantage of that, and hopefully as we continue to work on that backlog, that we use that tool to the best of our ability. And of course, we're always looking to develop any additional educational tools that we can, and continue to evaluate that survey, see if we can make any improvements on it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, training our inspection analysts as they start to prepare those cases for disciplinary action if warranted. So if any questions, we answer any questions you may have.
Where are we with the 20% requirement? 20% of all veterinary hospitals need to be inspected every year. That's in statute now, right?
Yes, that is in statute, and although that is the goal, we are not meeting the mandate.
So because of COVID, do you think that's our reason for not, or what, are we going to get in trouble for this?
Maybe Jessica can answer that part of it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, we're nowhere close to meeting the mandate. Whether or not we'll get in trouble, I think that for those who are concerned when it comes to the legislature, I think it can be easily explained of why we're not meeting the mandate right now, and also the sheer volume of that without the appropriate staffing is just not something that's doable. As you can see from what was happening in the past, as we were sending out inspectors, they were going and doing the inspections. They found several issues, but then the inspection reports weren't being able to be followed up on by staff. So a lot of the inspections would just be sitting there until we're able to get to them. Oftentimes, it could be a year or two before we get to them, and the issues have still not been resolved. So we were just drowning ourselves with that. And I don't think that we're doing anyone any good. Our licensees aren't benefiting from that because we're not having them come into compliance. The consumers aren't benefiting from that because, again, these individuals continue to practice with the violations. We just haven't had a chance to get back to it. So I'm not concerned with responding to the legislature with that. I've been really open with them. And perhaps it's something that we can look at again during our sunset review next year.
We've gotten all the staff when that went into the 20% when we voted on that, and then plus I think it was in the legislation a couple of years ago in the Jerry Hill bill, but that also was the reasoning to get some additional staff. When did we finally finish hiring those individuals?
Patty, it was last year, right? Or was Lisa the last one because we had someone leave, correct?
Lisa was the last one. So May.
So it was just recently, but just so members are aware, when and Patty can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that when that workload was created to justify 3 additional staff, which we got through the Ledge BCP, which again didn't give us the funding for the staff, but gave us the authority for the positions. The workload that was based, it only included the work that needs to be done for that initial assignment out. Not necessarily the work that has to happen after receiving all of that information. And so I think that this data that we're capturing now is really going to capture how long it takes us to do something. And then if we feel like we need to do it in a much more timely manner, we need to figure out how much staff we have to get in order to do that. So again, I think that the 3 positions that we had asked for, it wasn't really looking at the whole picture from start to finish.
Okay. And Patty, your report, I mean, I know we were way behind on scanning the inspector reports in like 18 or 20 months behind. And now we're only 3 months behind. So you've caught up a lot based on the reports. And of course, having less inspections this year, we should be fairly caught up to immediate, right? Real-time reports pretty soon? Is that the goal?
Oh, well, yes, that's the goal. And when it comes to routine inspections, we are looking much better. But it's I think in previous reports, we were just kind of again, it didn't show the whole picture. It just showed like when our staff first, touched that file, but didn't show all the back and forth that, the subsequent back and forth with the consultant, with the facility. So there's still a lot of back and forth that goes on afterwards that wasn't captured in the previous reporting. So now with this new reporting, you can see how long that takes. Yes, we're touching those files, but we're not anywhere near completing the whole review. And then when you factor in complaint-related inspections, those are much more complex and time-consuming, and that involves just a great deal of back and forth with enforcement staff, with our in-house consultants, sometimes with the facility as well. And so those take even longer, as you can see. So even though we've only inspected a fraction of, where we're supposed to be, we're still not caught up.
Christina, you had your hand up.
Hi, Patty. Don't get discouraged. It'll get better. It's also the end of the day. Sorry that we took so long today. You had to come back. Thank you. So we just recently moved to all electronic. Is that correct? So we really haven't. Yes. We don't know how much that's going to improve efficiency yet. We'll figure that out probably in the next 6 months or so. And it seems like it has a good chance of making a big difference. On the MDC, the committees, they're looking at the tiered premise licenses. Do you get a sense of whether these smaller practices really, do they take any different amount of time? Is it a significant difference when you're going from a really large multi-doctor practice versus the smaller practices? Like, just so I get a sense, and it's just a general sense of if there's a difference.
That's the size of the facility isn't a good gauge, because you can go into a very small one doctor practice and they have numerous issues. It's a mess. And so the inspector could be there all day, and there are going to be a lot of issues. There are going to be a lot of deficiencies that need to be addressed. Or they could walk into a large, 6 to 10 doctor facility, but it's pristine, and they have, all their documents are filed correctly. Their logs look great. They've got protocols in place for everything. And so that inspection goes smoothly. So you just don't know how this inspection is going to go until you walk in the door. So the size of it doesn't really have any doesn't really have any bearing on this.
Thanks so much.
Oh, sure, you're welcome.
Mark, you have your hand up.
This mandate that we have, legislature created the mandate, and it's a lofty goal. I definitely see the purpose of it, and they created authority for us to hire staff to achieve it, but they didn't give us the finances to fund it. Things happened, I think right now it's serving as just a big thing that they can hang over any future sunset reviews of ours. Having said that, do you think that there's any way they could revisit this mandate and maybe either give us the resources to catch up? Because that's the nightmare scenario, that we just get further and further behind, or maybe lower that mandate. Is it worth thinking about? Because I don't want to have something that is going to be held over all of our sunset reviews from here on forward, because it will be in the foreseeable future. Towards Jessica.
Okay.
What was that exactly?
I think the question was whether or not that mandate can be lowered. It definitely can be lowered. I think when I was talking to Patty to try to figure out how we got to the 20%, Patty had said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, but at some point it was really low, like 5%, I want to say you said before. And at some point it went up to 10, and then it became 20 at some point. And we can research this and try to really figure it out, especially when we come up with sunset review. But prior to the last sunset, it used to say that the board should make every reasonable effort to do 20%. And then we had gone back during our sunset last time and asked for it to be mandated to do 20%. Right. And so I think that by doing that without securing the necessary funding for additional staff in order to meet that mandate, I think we kind of hurt ourselves a little there. I think that the 20% is a very lofty goal, especially since the board has never actually met it. So I think over the next year, we should really be using the data and use that as a tool to go back to the legislature and say, this is what we're able to do now. What is a reasonable mandate that you'd like to put? And then how are we going to get the funding to do that?
And it's Kathy, but I recall in the last sunset review years ago, the reasoning behind it was putting it into it was because once it was there, it would allow us or qualify us, hopefully, for the funds to get the staff to do it. And that people felt 20. That was the reasoning brought to us. And then also we felt like some premises had never been inspected. You know, there was a real sort of spread of, you know, some were inspected a couple of times, some in 15 years had never been inspected and whatever. And it was a reason, and it was a goal to try and make sure there was some inspection of a certain percentage regularly, I think was the thinking behind it. And it happened when we were doing that sunset review. Remember Mark and Cheryl?
Yeah, you're saying we weren't just being crazy.
Yeah, we were. I think we were led to believe a certain thing. So I have a question. I guess I apologize to both Patty and Jessica. That's very late and it's hard to concentrate and focus. Thank you for being here. I agree with Christina. But you know, there are lots of ways to assess the performance of something. And it seems to me we have, and I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, we have kind of done an all or nothing approach where we have a checklist where we're looking at every possible regulation and we're looking at the probably minor issues when it comes to health and safety of our animals and the major issues and whatnot. Has anyone looked at a way of streamlining this? So let's say you have 10 templates for inspection and when you walk into a hospital, you don't know which templates you're going to use, but it's a tenth of what a normal inspection is. So it's not an extensive inspection, but it still remains, keeps people on their toes. And maybe some of the infractions are something that the actual inspector is able to just say, tell you what's wrong, tell you to fix it, check it off and be done with it, you know, and not have to go and do a formal compliance review, et cetera. I mean, has anyone looked at streamlining the inspection, or is that actually mandated to be a 100% all or nothing? And I think I might need to have somebody mute. I'm guessing it's Kathy.
That's an interesting thought.
Anyway, it's something I think we ought to spend, not tonight, but I think it's something we may ought to give to the MDC or something. And because, you know, if I'm in a college situation, our assessments are never at 100% of all the material. That's just, you just spot check to try to increase compliance, but also to educate. And so I think we ought to look at that more thoroughly if we're really not going to be able to meet our 20%. Let's figure out how to streamline it so we still meet our objective, but it doesn't take as long.
Did you just think of that right now at 5:30 on day 3 of these meetings?
And I haven't even started my adult beverage.
That's a great idea, though, Jamie. Really good idea.
I agree. I mean, it's like a random sampling. It's kind of like looking through the records, you know, taking a random sampling of the records that we do. And I think that it would probably pick up on the egregious offenders and be helpful for the people who have little, you know, small things. I like that.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up. So thank you, Patty, very much. And I really appreciate your after hours 100%, gung-ho-ness. Thank you for that.
No problem.
And we'll let you off the hook now.
Okay, thank you.
So now we'll move on to agenda item number 15, I believe. I'm doing this by memory at this point, which is to discuss future dates and also future topics. Is that correct?
That's correct. So for the last one of this year, we had our last one of this We have October 22nd and 23rd. And then we have not set the calendar for next year. But if we like the original schedule we had for board meetings, not what it turned out to be. But if we like the January, April, July, and October months, then perhaps if members are available, we could do the last Thursday, Friday of each month. So that would look like January 28th, 29th, April 29th, 30th, July 29th, 30th, and October 28th, 29th. And I can send this out to the members too to see if that would be more helpful to you guys, and you can get back to me to see if those work.
That sounds great, Christina.
I really appreciated moving them to the Thursday, Friday. I love that. My schedule is very open at this point, and I know that really put a dent in Jennifer's schedule. And I just wanted to see before we did. I don't know how everybody feels, but I didn't want to. I feel bad that happened to you, Jennifer. I didn't, so I wanted to bring it up and see if you were able to change your schedule. I don't know what your schedule is like now, and yeah.
I don't think any of us in academia know what our schedules are like now. But Fridays would still be bad for me. So when Jessica sends everything out, we can look at that.
So, and Jessica, just for clarity, we still have our August 13th meeting. And then you're talking about October 22nd and 23rd. Are those the only two meetings at this point that we need for the rest of the year?
Yes.
Hallelujah.
So far.
Tell me about it.
Don't talk to.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No jinxing, right? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and send that out to all of the board members, the tentative dates, and then you can, get back to Jessica and let her know. Does that sound like a plan?
What's the August 13th meeting? I'm looking at my calendar.
That is the animal rehab hearing. We also
haven't
had.
sent out the invitation yet.
Correct. I was working actually during your closed session on getting that approved to get it posted. So we're not going to do an end time on the agenda, but it will be starting at 9:00. We do have one reg packet that we'll need the board to discuss after the public comment period ends, and then we'll open it up to the public hearing. So I do anticipate getting quite a bit of participation for that. So I would think that the members would need to schedule the whole day.
Having said that, can we put a hard stop date on a time on it? I feel like it's not very respectful of the board members to just kind of say, well, we'll stop when we stop. So I think we should publicize that there's a hard stop at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Okay, we'll do that.
And can we put a limitation on how long a speaker can keep going on and on?
Can we put a limitation
You
on
can.
Only if we put it on all of us board members as well.
Who is that directed to?
Okay, so that sounds great. The next part of this is actually talk about items to put on to agendize. It's almost overwhelming to have so many possibilities. So.
And just so members know, we have a presentation from OPES in October. They're going to come and give a presentation on their occupational analysis and their linkage study for the veterinarian state exam. The veterinary national exam and the state exam. They're doing a comparison there. We also have, we need to finalize the strategic plan. We'll have a petitioner. And then just the standard, we'll have, I think, 4 regs to review. And then anything else on top of that.
We have those 2 executive orders from the DCA, the telemedicine and the prescription. We need to revisit those before the end of the year, I believe. Is that right, Jessica? Or
no. So how DCA is handling those waivers is as they get close to expiration, DCA will automatically reevaluate them. And actually, thank you for reminding me for that one, because the director they are looking at reviewing, extending the ones they just did. I approved some language last Saturday that the Deputy Director of Legal had sent to me for extending the waivers. And so I imagine that those are going to be posted soon. So there's nothing the board needs to do to extend them. DCA will be doing it already.
Okay, great. And another point of clarification, did we give the MDC anything to look at, or do you have an idea of what their updated list of topics are?
They provided quite a long list of things that they would like to look at, and so it's up to the board what you would like them to review next time.
Was one of the things just for the Nancy Ehrlich RVT foreign grad situation? Yes. Is that one of the things they're looking at? Okay, good.
Another one was evaluating the DCPR, how that extends currently to other doctors that are physically in the hospital, and also how far it extends to other doctors that are providing telemedicine.
And another thing we talked about was looking at the duties of an MGL, and should the number of premises per MGL be limited. Jessica has told me there's cases of where there's more than 100. One MGL is taking care of more than 100 facilities. Yeah.
And what was brought to our attention, I think it might have been yesterday now, but that we need to probably direct the MDC to look at guidelines for numbers of staff per veterinarian in the hospital, or at least look at whether that's an issue in the profession and whether we need to address that.
And I'm sorry, but Jessica, did you just say that all those exemptions to our practice act that we made because we're in a state of emergency are going to be made permanent by the DCA?
No. Okay. Just during the state of emergency, the DCA is going to extend them as long as the emergency is on, but they're not making it permanent, no.
But we were asked to consider making it permanent?
Yes, there is a request to consider making any of those permanent.
Should we put that on an agenda someplace?
I think that would be great to do in October for the board.
Well, I think we ought to. So one of the things that's going to keep coming up is telemedicine, and if we put it on the board in October, where is the MDC?
Yeah,
are they looking at telemedicine, or are we going to ask them to, or are we going to agendize it and then ask them to?
Well, I think that we can give it to them now. That was another thing that they did mention that they should look at. And so what possibly we could do is give telemedicine to the MDC to look at, but then the board can still consider the other two waivers that were done. Well, I guess two of them were tied to telemedicine, but perhaps the board can consider the face-to-face requirement, making that permanent in October.
Making it permanent after this emergency is over?
Yeah, I'm talking about the face-to-face requirement for the course for the temporary license applicants that are needed to take that 3-day course.
Got it. The course. Okay, got that face-to-face. Got it. I thought we were vet to animal face-to-face. Okay.
Do you need a motion to direct the MDC to look at this at their next meeting right now from us, or can we just tell them to do that?
No, I think you can just tell me and I will relay it to them.
Okay. Anything else that we need to try to agendize for October? It's already looking pretty busy, so. But we do need to really focus on what's most important, I think, so.
I assume we are assuming that we're Zooming in October, correct?
Yes, it will be through WebEx.
Yeah, okay.
Assume to Zoom.
Assume to Zoom.
I just wanted to thank Jennifer and Cheryl for all of the work on the MDC and showing up and going there and the extra days and sitting through all of this. And thank you.
Don't forget, oh, you mean not,
Well,
okay. Well, don't forget Jessica too.
No, it's okay.
Jessica
Oh,
doesn't
and you
count.
guys will have
Thank you, Scott,
elections.
she has. Didn't you know that? No, thank you. Thanks to everyone who's on it, but I feel like that doesn't get said enough. So anyway, thanks.
And you guys will have elections in October as well.
Didn't we just have? Yes.
I'm just saying.
It seems like 10 years ago. Okay.
Did I mention I'm celebrating over here?
I'm voting for Biden.
So I think we're probably done. I think that sounds like we're good. So I guess I would like to go ahead and, do we have to motion to close this? I always forget. No, I just like to go ahead and say thank you all very much for staying late. It's already 5:47, so on a Friday night, that's really impressive. And thank you, Jessica and Tara and Timothy and Justin and Ginger.
And the
Susan.
moderator, whoever the moderator is. Thank you.
The wonderful moderator, who I did not mean to dish earlier today. The moderator is wonderful. I just wanted to make sure the judge realized he was confusing everyone because he kept talking to the moderator and looking at Jessica like do something. Rather awkward. Thanks, you guys, very much, and have a happy and safe weekend. And we will adjourn this meeting.
Stay safe,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Is the moderator?